Hi, welcome back. Um, so I think I'm like 40,000 words into my work in progress. Echoes of His Touch. Fancy little graphic will be here. I don't actually have like a cover art or anything for it yet because I haven't even finished my first draft, but whatever. Anyway, I wanted to hop on um, to say that I got laid off from my actual 9 to 5 job or 8 to 5. So that sucked. That just happened like a week ago last week. So yeah, unemployed, interviewing, applying for other jobs, interviewing, whatever. So we'll see what happens. So now that I don't have a day job, my writing is going to be my very unpaid day job right now. And then doing some reviews on here. And also, I guess now that I have all this free time, I'm gonna go ahead and start painting the cat's bedroom, my little library room. I feel like I can get that done this week, probably actually. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen. Anyway, I wanted to hop on real quick. Real quick. It's not gonna be quick. I want to talk about this book, Hidden Pictures, by Jason Rekulak. Rekulak? Rekulak? Or Rekulak? I'm probably mispronouncing that. I'm so sorry, Jason. Anyway, Hidden Pictures. This is gonna be full of spoilers. So I have like an IG page and everything. I try not to do spoilers on there, but it's really hard. So then my book reviews just end up being really choppy and chaotic, and I don't really say much in them. And I'm just like, I need to give spoilers. So this is gonna be full of spoilers for Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. Okay, so in this book, we have a little creepy child, Teddy. He's got he's got a mom and a dad. Dad's name is Ted, and I actually forgot the mom's name. Maybe it's Caroline or something like that. I just finished this like a week ago. Y'all, I'm not good with names in real life or in books. I don't even remember the main girl's name. Mallory. Mallory Quinn. So, Mallory Quinn, fresh out of rehab, she had a super unfortunate, again, spoilers. She grew up South Philly, I think South Philly. She grew up in Philly. She had a little sister. She was like a track star, gonna go to Penn State on a scholarship. And then she got into a car accident on the way to a fair with her little sister and one of her little sister's friends. She was fine. Sister's friend was fine, but of course her little sister died. I guess she wasn't fine. She like broke her legs or hips. I mean, which is not fine for a runner, for a track runner. So anyway, she was not fine. So then she gets has to have surgery and gets prescribed pain medication. And so begins her spiral into addiction because she's really depressed. Obviously, she lost her sister and she broke her freaking legs. And so Penn State's like, actually, we don't want you now that you can't run. And she's like, okay, well, what is my life? Like, my sister's gone and I feel like it's my fault. And I had a scholarship to Penn State and I don't have that anymore. So, yeah, let's just keep popping these pills. Anyway, so she gets addicted. Um, the book opens up with her doing some sort of research experiment about like the male gaze. I didn't know. It got lost a little bit. It didn't get lost, but maybe I just got lost. I got lost a little bit. So it opens up with her doing this research experiment on like the male gaze. She's standing in this room with like 4 men in front of her, and they're like, okay, close your eyes, and then we're gonna count to 5 or whatever. And then every time you feel like you feel someone watching you, we want you to like raise your hand. So she does that, and apparently she does so well at it. And then it's never spoken about again, like this whole little science experiment. So she's an addict, and you have holes in your memory, your false memories, whenever you're addicted to drugs and recovering and everything. And so now she's sober and sober living, and she keeps having flashbacks to that science experiment. And she's like, I don't even know if that actually happened because that was freaking weird. And I can't find this doctor anymore. It's like she doesn't exist. And so we're just like, okay, maybe it's a false memory. And the author is setting that up on purpose because throughout the book, she starts to question her own mind. She's like, is this happening or am I freaking crazy? Like, am I having more like holes in my memory? Like, what's going on? So, anyway, she's in sober living. She's been sober for like almost 2 years at this point, or maybe it is 2 years or something like that. And her sponsor gets her this nannying job for this wealthy couple. and their child, Teddy, their son. I don't know why I talk weird sometimes. So she takes it. She's like, yeah, like I want I want this, like I want money, I want stability, I want to prove that, I can be more than just a recovering addict. So she goes up to their house. I don't remember where it is. It's 30 minutes away from wherever she was in Philadelphia. So maybe it's still in Pennsylvania, but like the richy rich, nice, affluent neighborhood in Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? She meets them, and the mom is enthralled with her. The mom is a psychiatrist for the VA. So she's like, I work with addicts all the time. Like, I know exactly what you're going through. This is going to be perfect. I can help you. And I love giving people second chances. And the husband is like, absolutely not. Like, no, I'm not employing someone who was a drug addict, even if you're recovered. Like, no, you're not going to be around my kid. You're not going to be in my house, kind of thing. And the wife is like, oh, pish posh nonsense. She's fantastic. Mallory, come work for us. So she gets a job. And her sponsor's like, fantastic, you got a job now. And I'm going to go fudge off to Vegas with my lady friend. I don't really know about that. I guess he just had, like, the author just maybe needed him to do something. So, like, okay, Russell, go to Vegas with your lady friend. So, anyway, she starts nannying for this couple. And the little kid is sweet. The mom says that ever since they got home from Barcelona, he has been drawing pictures. And so in the book, they will have the pictures that the child drew. And just something about little kids in like horror movies or horror books. And as soon as the little kids start drawing pictures, I'm like, no, thank you. No, I'm out. I'm done. Thank you, but no, thank you. So anyway, did anyone ever watch The Witch? Because this is just giving Black Phillip. Do you know what I'm talking about? Black Phillip? If you haven't seen it, it's a great movie. So throughout the book, like, he's just drawing pictures and they're sweet and they're innocent from the beginning. And then they'll get a little creepy. Yeah, that's not creepy. That's just a kid riding a giant bunny rabbit for some reason. But then we have this. And I was like, that's disturbing. But yes. And so Teddy has an imaginary friend called Anya. And so Teddy sometimes draws Anya, or Anya tells Teddy what to draw. And Mallory's like, the fudge? And the mom is like, oh, it's fine. Like, he knows Anya's not real. He knows it's just pretend play. Like, we think he's just struggling with moving back to the States from Barcelona. It's okay, says the psychiatrist's mother. So Mallory's like, I guess it's okay, but that's a little creepy. Anyway, so a good chunk of the book is just her nannying him, like going through their daily routine, pretty monotonous. Mallory's working on like proving her sobriety. They're letting her stay in like this guest cottage. It sounds like a mother-in-law suite almost, but smaller. I guess the previous owners used it as like a tool shed. The previous owners used it for this girl to stay in, and then she was murdered. Where was she? So it's a little haunted. And so the parents are big into factual matters and science. So like they give Mallory a list of rules at the beginning when she is babysitting for them. And they're like, absolutely no talk about spirit or ghosts or whatever, nothing about religion. Like, we're not anti-theist, atheist. So, leave all that stuff to us. Like, we'll do that stuff with Teddy. You can just nanny him and be his friend. And she's like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. But of course she's in recovery, so she's like religious to an extent and believes in spirits. So anyway, as it goes on and she's babysitting or nannying for Teddy, you're like, he's a sweet kid, but he's a little off. And he goes upstairs every day for a couple hours for quiet time. And so that's when he's like drawing all these pictures. So this is just him drawing himself and Mallory playing and hanging out. And Mallory's like, okay, cool, that's fine. And then she hears him talking to someone in his room. And she's like, that's a little weird. Like, who are you talking to? Like, why are you talking to someone? But there's no one in there, obviously. And so she'll bring the stuff up to the mom. And the mom's like, really, I don't want you to indulge this with him. We're trying to break this habit. He knows Anya's not real. And so Mallory's like, okay, like, that's a little detrimental. Because, like, what if he's trying to tell us something, like, what if he's struggling with this move or something else? Because the husband, Ted, is out at work all the time. Caroline's at work all the time. They had this big not cross country, but, went from Barcelona to Pennsylvania, wherever they are now. And so Mallory's like, yeah, I hear you, Caroline. And actually, I'm still just going to investigate why your kid is drawing these pictures. So she starts asking him, like, is Anya with you all the time? Like, does she hang out with you? And Teddy's always just like, I know she's not real. I know she's imaginary. I know she's not real. I know she's imaginary. And Mallory's like, I'm not going to get you in trouble, because the mom had asked him to stop drawing pictures of Anya. And so Mallory's like, you can still draw pictures. I'm not going to say anything. And I'm like, girl, if I was a nanny, I don't know. If I was in her situation and I was nannying this kid and he's drawing on these creepy pictures and the mom is like, I just need you to ignore it, I'm just going to say less. Say less, ma'am. You're giving me room and board. Yep. But then I feel like I'm going to get possessed. So I don't know. Maybe I would dip. But I don't have anywhere else to go because I was living in like a halfway house. And now you're giving me like room and board in this cottage. So maybe I would. Maybe I would do what Mallory's doing. Maybe I would investigate. Why would I investigate? I don't know. Anyway, so then there's one scene to where she's like, is Anya with us? And Teddy's like, I know she's not real. And he's like drawing a picture. That's my cat, if you hear it. And then he gives her the picture and they're like having milk and cookies. Anya's with them. My cat, Majin, he keeps giving himself hematomas by scratching his ears. So he has a cone on his head right now and he's very upset about it. He's also very vocal. If you've never had a Maine Coon, they're very vocal cats, but they're fun. Anyway, so Anya's with them all the time. And so Mallory starts to investigate. Like, who is this Anya? Like, and Teddy keeps giving details about her too. And she's like, nah, this is getting a little too specific. And then he starts drawing pictures like this. And she's like, okay, that's a bit much. Like, Anya looked creepy at first, and now she's like, hey, Teddy. Straight up, she asks the kid, why are you drawing a picture of a dead body being dragged through the woods? And he's like, I didn't draw it. And she's like, okay, whatever. So she starts to investigate, and like there's this eclectic neighbor that lives next door, Mitzi, and she's a psychic, or she does psychic readings on Ouija boards and stuff like that. I mean, here's another one. And so she gets with Mitzi and she's like, what's the story? Like, what's the story of this house? What's the story of this couple? Like, who am I involved with? And so Mitzi tells her the story of this woman who lived in the cottage prior to her in like the 1940s. Dang, I forgot her name too. They say the name like 50 times in the book. Anyway, she had lived in the cottage in the 1945 maybe, because it was after World War II. And she went missing or was brutally murdered. They don't know. The cottage one night, like they went to investigate and there was blood everywhere. And then they searched all the surrounding areas and they couldn't find her body. So they're just like, she was murdered and buried in the woods somewhere. So now Mallory's like, maybe that's Anya. Maybe Annie Bennett or something like that. What's her name? And so she's like, maybe that's who Anya is. Teddy's 4. I forgot about that. Teddy's 4 years old. So she's like, maybe he's hearing the name wrong. Like maybe the spirit can't really talk. And so trying to communicate, and he just gets Anya out of it instead of Annie Barrett, whatever. It's going to bother me. So anyways, now she's like, cool. The ghost of this girl who was living in this cabin is haunting this child. I need to tell the parents, because the pictures are getting worse. And so, of course, the parents are like, please stop. Like, why do you think we have a spirit in our house? Like, we are not spiritual people. We're not religious people. We don't believe in any of that. And we don't want our child to be influenced by that. So no more of that. And then Teddy gets really, really upset. He gets in trouble. He gets in trouble for drawing the pictures. The mom and dad, Caroline and Ted, are like, hey, you're scaring Mallory. Like, don't do that. Mallory is coming from like a very difficult background. And so Teddy is upset. And so then his pictures get just messy, right? Because he got in trouble. No one likes to get in trouble. I don't care how old you are. No one likes to get in trouble. Teddy didn't like to get in trouble, but they got him in trouble. So his pictures get really, really messy. And then all of a sudden, because he's not supposed to draw them anymore, messy pictures. And then they're getting more refined. And so Mallory finds all these pictures. Mallory finds all these pictures that he's drawing now. Like, we're going from stick figures and super messy scribbles to this. And so she's like, who drew these? Because this is not the same Teddy who drew us stick figures holding hands or swimming in the pool, like one-dimensional, two-dimensional pictures. Like, this is shading, this is 3D, this is depth, this is emotive. And Teddy's like, it wasn't me. I didn't draw. I'm not allowed to draw anymore. It wasn't me. And also in the book, like, he's struggling with bedwetting, because I mean, what child haunted by a ghost would not be wetting their bed? And so the mom is just like, oh, just ignore it. It's fine. And Mallory's like, look, I might have barely finished high school and I might not be in college, but I know enough to know that this isn't normal. This isn't right. Like, your kid needs help. Like, he's screaming for help without screaming for help, you know? So she's like, I'm not going to ignore it. I'm going to keep investigating. And so the pictures get more and more detailed and graphic. And each time she finds these, she's like, Teddy, like, where did you get these from? And he's always like, I didn't draw them. I don't know what to tell you. It wasn't me. And I mean, that's like not even halfway through and we're getting this detail. So a good chunk of the book after that, she meets Adrian, who is like the landscaper. Of course, there's like a little love interest. He's her age. They're both in their 20s. And she just starts lying. She doesn't want him to know that she's a recovering addict. She doesn't want him to know that she didn't actually go to Penn State. Because, like, yes, he is the landscaper and gardener, but his family actually lives in the neighborhood. Like, they own one of the most, I guess, well-known landscaping companies, and they got money. And so he goes to, what school does he go to? I don't know. Some Ivy League school over there, outside of my tax bracket. And so she's like, I kind of feel the need to, like, impress him, but also I'm only here for a summer. So what's a little lie? But if you're recovering, you're not supposed to lie. You're supposed to be truthful. So then she starts having internal conflicts. She's like, why do I feel so compelled to lie to Adrian? Like, I don't even know him. Like, why do I care if he judges me? Like, Ted and Caroline, the people I'm babysitting for, they already know my past. Like, why do I feel the need to lie to him? And they do put in the book, like, she hasn't had a love interest, like a genuine, non-transactional, if you pick up what I'm putting down, love interest in years. So she feels a little bit ashamed. I mean, she's 21, 2, 3, something like that. So she starts lying to Adrian about who she is, but she's very honest with him about the creepy pictures the kid is drawing and the fact that she thinks the kid is being possessed and haunted. And Adrian's like, a little weird, but I kind of follow, girl. I kind of agree with you. There's something suspicious going on. And so then the pictures get less creepy, almost like they're telling a story. And again, she's finding these like in Teddy's room or thrown away in a wastebasket. And Teddy is like denying, like, hey, I never drew those pictures. I don't know what you're talking about. That wasn't me. So her and Adrian start investigating. And his mom works for the library, so she digs up some stuff to see who this Annie, is her name Annie, y'all? Annie Bennett? She's got like one of those, it was such a basic name. Can't even remember. Okay. So they start investigating. They start investigating into that murder that happened in like 1945. And she's like, I feel like there's some similarities because obviously something is trying to communicate to us through Teddy. And Mitzi, the eclectic neighbor, is like, it's said that kids are closer to the spiritual realm than adults are because, they're, I guess, just born. That bridge between life and death, I guess, is narrower for children. I don't know. So they're like, hey, I think this might be actually happening. And these pictures, and also every time she finds a picture, Teddy is left-handed. Teddy is left-handed. So historically, he's always drawn his pictures with his left hand, obviously. And then his left hand is always dirty and smudged from the charcoal. And with these super fancy pictures that he's been not drawing lately, his right hand is all dirtied up with the charcoal. And Mallory's like, do you guys not find that weird that he's suddenly using his right hand and like drawing in-depth pictures. And the mom's like, no, I don't think that's weird at all. Anyway, must go to work now. Have a wonderful day, Mallory. And it's giving Stepford Wives. Like, are you okay? Like, blink twice. Anyway, they investigate, they're getting more pictures, and Adrian is the one who's like, hey, I feel like these pictures are trying to tell a story, so let's collect them all and let's lay them all out. While this is all going on, of course, Mallory can't keep her mouth closed, and she keeps telling the parents everything she finds. And at one point, they're like, okay, stop. Like, stop everything. Like, our kid's not possessed. There's no ghost. You need to stop. Like, are you relapsing? And they have her do a drug test, and she's clean. And then Teddy starts drawing again. They try to do a seance. They try to do like a Ouija board with Mitzi. So Adrian, the gardener, comes over to hang out with Teddy and swim. And she's like, I need you to occupy him while I'm in the cabin with Mitzi doing this Ouija board seance. And she feels something happen during it. She feels a presence. She feels someone leaning over her shoulder and taking her hand to move it on the Ouija board. And she even goes as far to say she feels long hair like fall over her shoulder. And she's got like a short bob. So she's like, someone's in this cabin with us. And then Mitzi flips out and she's like, you're moving the, what's it called on a Ouija board? I've never done a Ouija board. You're moving the little dial thing. She's like, you're moving it yourself. Stop moving it. And Mallory's like, I'm not moving it. So they start yelling at each other or whatever. And then Teddy busts into the cabin and he's like, is everything okay? We're playing hide and seek. And then he sees what's going on and he's like, and then just like runs away. So anyway, later on, Teddy draws a picture of the event. And who's in the room with them? Who's that? That's Anya. That's Anya. That's Annie, Anya, whatever their name is. And then so Mallory's like, I was right. Like, she was there. Like, what is this? So a good portion of the book is simply events like that. She's lying to Adrian about who she is while they're simultaneously investigating why Teddy is drawing all these creepy pictures, while Ted and Caroline are like, everything is fine. Our family is perfect. We don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing wrong with the child. Please stop investigating and saying he's possessed. And then Mitzi's like, you're a liar. Anyway, that goes on for quite a while, but surprisingly, it doesn't feel like it. You know, sometimes like books can just kind of drag on and you're just saying the same thing over and over. And I think maybe because this is like a horror thriller and it's got all the creepy pictures, there's still plot progression, even though most of the days are similar. And there's still like a sense of unease because every time like you're turning the page, you're like, what's the next picture going to be? Like, what's the next piece in this puzzle? So I was kind of surprised. It did not feel repetitive. It did not feel monotonous or anything like that, which was really nice. And then, of course, they do start getting more pictures. That's telling a story. Like this angel is saving this child potentially, or taking the child. Because also, who's the child? So this is getting further into the book to where they're like discovering like, okay, they're actually trying to tell us something, like something's going on. And then the pictures are getting violent because she's being choked. And again, these are coming from Teddy, and he's saying that they're not coming from him, like he's not drawing them. So that goes on for a while, and then her and Adrian gather up all these pictures, and they try to piece it together to create a story. And they're like, okay, there was a day at a park, and then the child walked off with someone, and then she ran after the child, and then for some reason she was killed, question mark, and buried in a hole. And they're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And reading the book, same, you're like, no, that doesn't make any sense. And so then they try to like summon Anya through Mallory, because Mallory is like, I don't want Teddy involved in this anymore. You know, he's a 4-year-old little boy. Like, use me as a vessel, Anya. Tell your story. And so she tries that, and Anya just scribbles on it. And so Adrian's like, maybe she's telling us she's done. Like, she's already given us all the pieces to the puzzle. There's no more pictures to draw. And so at this point, like, Mallory isn't afraid of Anya, of this ghost spirit. She's like, I don't feel like she's sinister. I feel like she's just trying to tell me something. So, I mean, kudos to you, girl. Because the way I would be like, I know nothing, blinders on, everything is peachy keen, and let's just have some mac and cheese and go swimming in the pool. Because what? And she's like, yes, spirit of the undead, the restlessness, possess me and tell me your story. What is happening? Anyway, so like this much of the book is building up to this much of the reveal. And so I was a little worried because thrillers always do that. It's like 342 pages of plot building and like less than 100 pages of reveal. So, what is the big twist in Hidden Pictures? Obviously, Teddy was not drawing those pictures. Teddy was being possessed by Anya. Who is Anya? Is Anya Annie, who was murdered in 1945? No, Anya is not Annie, who was murdered in 1945. Completely unrelated events. So, who is Anya? Anya is actually another lady whose name I cannot pronounce because it's foreign. Let me see. That's Mallory. Not Mitzi. Caroline. I don't remember. So anyway, Anya is not Annie. What happened was, and they were never in Barcelona either. Oh, and Teddy is a girl. Teddy's not a boy. So there's a lot that happens in the last 100 pages. So they never went to Barcelona. Caroline and Ted, the mom and dad, were having fertility issues because they have like high stress, high paying jobs. And so they decided to take a sabbatical for like a year and move upstate and just relax and try to have a kid whenever they're more relaxed. So they do that. They move upstate. They're still having fertility issues. It's actually worse. They just actually really hate each other. So Caroline goes to this park every day, and that's where she sees this woman painting in the park with her little girl who's about 2 years old. And she said she felt like she was just neglecting her little girl. She said that she would just, throw a phone at her and she would be out there for a couple hours painting and the little girl would just be on the phone. And she's like, how cruel, Margaret is the Anya's name, Margaret. And so she's like, you can't just give her a phone. And Margaret starts yelling at her in another language. She's Hungarian. So she's over there being sponsored by family to live in the States. And so one day, the little girl, gosh, what is her name? Margaret is the mama. Anyway, the little girl wanders off. And Caroline watches it happen. She watches the little girl wander off and she sees Margaret is still painting and she's not paying attention. And so Caroline's like, okay, fine. Like, I guess I'm going to go retrieve your kid. And then I'm going to yell at you some more on how you managed to just let your kid walk away. So she goes and retrieves the child. And as she's trying to bring her back, Margaret realizes that her kid is missing. And so she goes running after her and they start yelling at each other. And Caroline says that it was just a big panic and a big misunderstanding. And she doesn't know why she did it. But she hits her over the head with something. I don't remember what. My attention to detail. Caroline and Margaret get into it. Caroline hits her in the head with something or knocks her over, knocks her out. The stun gun. That's what it was. A pivotal moment. She has a stun gun on her called a little Viper that she keeps on her at all times. And she told Mallory that she felt like Margaret was escalating and she was going to attack her. And she felt scared, of course. And so she stunned her. She hit her with a stun gun. Well, that made her pass out. And then she panicked. And then she took the child. And then took the child home. And Ted's like, what's happening? And she's like, yeah, so I think I actually kidnapped a child and I stun gunned the mom. And she died because maybe she had some sort of neuro or heart condition because then she had a seizure and then like she's not alive. But it's okay. We can make it work. And now look, we have a child. We have a 2-year-old little girl who now we're going to raise as a little boy because that's not going to cause any sort of problems for this child. And teach it English. And we're going to name it Teddy instead of whatever his name actually was. I don't remember what his name was. Half of this is just going to be me trying to figure out names. Anyway, so then Ted's like, I guess, sure. And so Ted goes and buries Margaret's body in the woods. But then he has to choke her out because she actually comes to. And then I'm just like, you had so many opportunities, Ted. You had so many opportunities to do the right thing. Like whenever you realize like she wasn't actually dead. Anyway, so then they kill her and they bury her in the woods and then her body cannot cross over because her kid's still there. So Mallory discovers all of this, and she discovers that Teddy is in fact the little girl whose name I can't remember. And Anya, who is Anya? Why was she called Anya? Anya is mommy in Hungarian. So the little girl just kept saying Anya, Anya, as in mommy, mommy. Just so sad. And the little girl is Teddy. The little girl is Teddy. Like Teddy's still with us. The child is with us. I just don't remember her actual name. So yeah, that's the end of the book. Anya is mommy, is Teddy's mom. Teddy is not Teddy. Teddy is a little girl. Flora. Flora. The name is Flora. I knew it would come to me. Like it was something about flowers. So Teddy is actually Flora, the little 2-year-old who was Margaret's daughter. Margaret got offed by Caroline and Ted, and they stole the child and then decided to raise the child as a little boy named Teddy. And so every time Margaret would come visit Teddy, Margaret knew that that was mommy. And so Anya. So it was really sad. It's kind of got a happy ending because Adrian and Mallory do kind of reconnect. Like he finds out all about her history and everything. And he's like, why did you lie to me? And she's like, I mean, can you blame me? And then he's like, yeah, I get it. And then Flora actually goes, her dad is still alive. Flora's dad is still alive. So she can actually go home to her dad. She's been missing now for, I think, like 2.5 or 3 years, but he still has a farm upstate. So she goes and lives on the farm upstate with all of her little cousins, and she's happy. So, Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. I actually really liked it. This was a ramble. This was a rant. And I don't want to edit it. I don't want to cut anything out because I don't know about y'all. Like, kudos to all the people who can sit here and edit their videos so precisely and do all the fun little transitions and everything. And that's just not me. So we're just getting a 30-minute ramble on what I thought of this book. And I want to hear y'all's thoughts and opinions. I like this better because it feels like I'm just kind of FaceTiming a friend. Like, you're in this with me right now. You're getting all my thoughts right now. Not curated, just chaos. But I am proud of myself for remembering everyone's names by the end. Anyway, Hidden Pictures, I recommend it. I give it like 4.5 stars. It felt a little weird at the end. I mean, I'm forgetting to say some things, of course, because the parents find out that Mallory finds out and they try to kill Mallory. That was a big point. They tried to kill Mallory. What? And then Mallory ends up killing them, or Caroline ends up killing her husband, Ted. And then Teddy, oh God, that's right, Flora, Teddy, gets possessed by her mother, Anya, Margaret, and kills Caroline. The child kills Caroline. I forgot about that point. And then Mallory takes the fall for it. It's a good book. Just read it. Just read it. And let me know what you think. That was a big climactic point. How can I forget that? Everyone just died, except for the ones that we don't want to die, like Flora and Mallory and Adrian are fine. So Caroline kills Ted. Teddy, aka Flora, gets possessed by Mommy, and then Mommy kills Caroline, the other psycho mother. Mallory takes the fall. Read it. Hidden Pictures. I recommend it. Okay, thanks. Bye.